everyone. Thanks for dropping by again. Can you believe it? Just only 2 more weeks till Record Store Day. Pretty exciting. Been cold here. It's been raining, snowing, so I'm underneath the shelter, which is kind of nice. It was a good week. Someone else joined me in line, which was kind of fun. Had someone to talk to. For 2 days he sat here. Suddenly asked, well, where's the soup? And I go, soup? He goes, yeah, isn't this the line for the soup kitchen? I look and I go, what? Are you nuts? This is for Record Store Day. He looked at me like I was crazy, and then he wound up leaving. I don't know. But you know, it was good that he was here. A couple things. I was able to shave. In the middle of the night, I woke up. He had this huge knife. I go, what's that for? He goes, that's for shaving. So we shaved, and that was fun. And he taught me this. He says if you take your cup, go like this, as people come by, just like that, and you get some change. It's kind of fun. Just people come by, and you go, hey, for Record Store Day. I'm not getting a lot, but I bet you I got at least 80 cents in here, so that's going to help buy maybe a record album. So I'm kind of excited about that. Did change pants after my animal attack last week, so kind of comfortable, but everything's going great. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for checking in. Just about here, April 13th, so I'm still waiting. Getting hungry, getting cold. It's okay. It's all well worth it. So thanks, everyone. Talk to you next week. Welcome and good morning. This is a special super early morning Sunday early morning show. I say super early because I was out of bed by 3. At 2 o'clock this morning, a song just popped into my head. It wasn't even a real song. It was just something that was made up, and I couldn't get the dang thing out of my head, so here I am at 3 a.m. And guess what, everybody? Here it is. Everyone thought that maybe he was dead, that I had killed him after being mauled on live YouTube, but no, the cat is still here. He's just outside trying to kill things, and obviously he did not kill a thing, so he's here to kill me instead. Begin today, in the background, the Pie Tasters, Willis. Man, I love this album. Funky horns. Great stuff. It's kind of like punk rock horns. I don't know. Very nice. Well, we got a lot to show this week. What a big surprise. Don't we always have a lot to show? Yes, we do. I got 10 albums. Actually, it's 11. This first one I haven't even opened yet. I just got it. I'm going to show it real quick. But I haven't played it, so I can't really talk about it. But just got it from Third Man Record. This is Sleep. It is 4 albums on there, 4 different colored variants of it. I haven't even opened that sucker up. All scares me when something comes in and it's labeled doom metal. Do I seem like the kind of guy that is into doom metal? Doesn't sound very happy, does it? It just kind of sounds like it would be scary. But got it. That's it. Third Man Record. They didn't ask me what I wanted. They gave it to me. So there we have it. Okay. I think we're ready. No, you're not. No. He's going for the face. What is with it, man? Look. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow. Over there. All right. I'll throw you off the lap. Let us begin with Monophonics. Is that not just a really nice cover? This comes in a, it's orange. If I didn't have a cat, that's shedding on albums, and purple. Monophonics. This is like a psychedelic soul from the Bay Area. In 2005, 3 groups in the Bay Area, they formed, and they formed into the Monophonics. And it was, let's see, it was Blue Cactus, there was Monophonic Orchestra, and I believe Mr. Callisto was the other group. And so they formed this group here. And in 2006, they released their first album, which was live. This album was from 2012, and it came off Coal Mine Records down in Loveland, Ohio. I would best describe this as a Daptone sound, except more raw and more gritty. You know, it can be a little bit, a little psychedelic sounding at times, but with some really fiery funk. These guys are big in Greece. They had a hit off this in Greece. Now, you know, considering the economy of Greece, I didn't think anybody could even afford to buy a record down there right now. I mean, that's a tough place, but at least they could say, well, you know what, we're really big in Greece. Let's go tour the island. It's not that bad a place. That'd be kind of nice to go just to tour, because that's where the fan base is at. Great album. Really enjoyed it. If you like your soul funk with a hard edge, this is an excellent one. So let me play a track for this, and you can tell me what you think. Monophonics. Our next album to talk about, I bought that second album from the group that I know I can't say correctly because it's Thai, but we're gonna give Steve's pronunciation. Quarambin. I've heard them say it on YouTube because I've watched a lot of their videos, like I can remember. The name of this album is Con Todo el Mundo, which would be with all the world. Another beautiful album. This is their second album. This came out last year. You know, the first one, they really used a lot of their Thai influence and their love of the Thai psychedelic era. On here, they add in more Caribbean music. You will hear Middle Eastern and music from India will also be on here. And the nice thing is you can play this. It doesn't really demand your attention. It can be playing in the background. You can be doing something else. They have these wispy vocals in there. You know, it just might be some oohs and ahs. They're not known for vocals, but you hear them. They're very light. So, like, they're out of Houston. Just really, I would call it atmospheric psychedelic music. I think it's just, excuse me, man, burping away. A beautiful group, and it's actually kind of like a real regular record label on there. Well worth a pickup. Their first album, I think, is a little bit stronger, but I'd like to put this thing on, and to me it's very, very relaxing. They have a lot of videos on YouTube that I've enjoyed. So here's a taste of the name Quarambin Bin. It's my channel, you know I can't. Recent pickup. We have here John Coltrane Quartet, Africa Brass. This is a repress. This is coming off this, what is that name of that label? Jazz Wax Records. So Jazz Wax Records. Say it 3 times. Jazz Wax Records is producing a lot of blues and some jazz albums, and they're coming out really inexpensive. We're talking like $12. As far as I can tell, they sound fantastic. Of course, they don't have the original labels or anything, but they do have. This was Coltrane's first album that he did for Impulse. So look at that. We have the orange that you would see from the Impulse label on here. What separated this album, so it was his first with Impulse, and he came in and he used a 14 to 17 piece orchestra, and it was a very brass heavy orchestra, and so they played on this. So they took his stuff from his quartet and expanded upon it, and he had Eric Dolphy came in, and Eric Dolphy wrote all the charts for this, though he didn't do a solo. Freddie Hubbard's on here also, but he also does not solo. This is a classic Coltrane album. It's beautiful, but all the additional orchestration, especially heavy with the horns, makes it a very nice listen. It doesn't get weird or anything. I personally like this one a lot. And Eric Dolphy's interpretations are good. I would play a track from this, but it is blocked on YouTube. Yes, I did check all this. So you cannot play Coltrane, especially Africa Brass, because YouTube doesn't like it. So we will go on to our next album, which is Styx, Man of Miracles. This is the very last album that Styx did with the Wooden Nickel. It's their fourth album that they put out. Styx. So back in 1961 here, Chuck and John Panzano, probably saying their name wrong, Chuck and John Panzano, they were 12 years old in 1961. They were twins. They got with a neighbor, Dennis DeYoung, and they began to form a band and sit there and play. That was in 61. So Dennis DeYoung did the vocals, but also played accordion. So think about his 80s when he's looking cool, suave, and sophisticated, and just say, dude, you play the accordion. That's how they began. So this was their fourth one. After this one, they really began to break open. It was kind of the last Styx that I had. It's rock and it's prog. Personally, I'm not a fan of Styx prog. I just thought it was more disposable prog. Styx lovers will probably say, well, Steve, you're on drugs. Well, I'm not. That's my opinion. So, but I picked that up. I have all the Styx now, and that's, basically that's what it was. I just wanted to complete that. Am I a real completist? Up to a point. I don't buy all I haven't bought the new stuff. Now, we're going to go into why I was up at 2 o'clock with this album, Django. This came out in 1975. Show this. And there we go. This band started in 1967 in Brooklyn. It's really nice cover art, isn't that? I think it's really neat. This is like an early Santana. It's very, very heavy Latin grooves and really rocks. The instrumentation on this thing is wonderful, and the melodies are very, very nice. There is so much energy to this thing, and it's really is tuneful. Lyrically, it's about sex, it's about life in the ghetto, and it's about sex. It's 75, disco starting up, though there's no disco in here. This, if Santana had kept going in their early direction, they would have sounded just like this thing. There's 9 members of this band. And so at 2 o'clock, I woke up this morning and I had this in my head. Are you ready? This is what was ringing in my brain. Django, 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 hear the guitar jangle, play that cowbell louder, Django. Funky organ playing, cool saxo wailing, keep that rhythm playing, Django. Play it loud, play it raw, play it soft, Django. More horn, more bass, more bell, Django. Play it funky, Django. Django, 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 Django. All right, I have issues. When 2 o'clock and you wake up and that whole thing suddenly just pops in your brain, 3 o'clock I had to get out of bed. What was I going to do? I'll take a nap by 5 a.m. Love this album. Absolutely loved it. I bought it because I saw that cover art. Then I looked and I go, if they have that many members, these guys play horns. And as you can tell, I love horns. I just absolutely a great find for me. So we'll play a little bit of Chango and you can tell me, are they cool or not? Let's go into Air Force. Ginger Baker's Air Force. In 1969, Blind Faith, they broke up, blew up, whatever the case is. A lot of things happened. So Ginger Baker in 1970, well actually 1969, he formed Air Force. Included in Air Force when it started was Steve Winwood, Denny Lane, Graham Bond, and of course Ginger Baker and a host of other people. What is really nice, this is Air Force 2. Air Force knew how to make exciting cover art. Isn't that really exciting stuff? You have the RAF symbol on there. Well, 1970 they put out Air Force 1, then they put out Air Force 2. When they did Air Force 2, the major players that were left was Ginger Baker and Graham Bond were left to play on this thing. I would call it probably like jazz rock fusion group. Really, it's interesting stuff. Ginger Baker's drums are very prominent on there, so lovers of Ginger Baker obviously would really like Air Force. Nice pickup. Glad I grabbed this. Again, the cover art, I had never heard, really hadn't ever listened to Air Force, but the cover art obviously grabbed me, and I'm glad it did. So I really enjoyed that. So here, we'll give you a little listen to some Air Force. Once again, I buy a record because of cover art. So I bought Chango, caught me because of cover art. Air Force, I bought that because of cover art. I bought this because of the cover art. This is Mahogany Rush. And this is the second album from Mahogany Rush, which is Frank Mariano's band. If you like Jimi Hendrix, I think you might kind of like Mahogany Rush. We'll get into that. This was, again, the second album was in 1974. They put out albums from 1972 all the way up to 2012. So it's like blues rock, but there's psychedelic in here with a lot of funky rock too. Story has it, the record company, they put out this story that the leader, Frank Moreno, that he had been admitted to a mental institution for taking LSD. And while he was in the institution, no, you're not biting me, and you're not licking me. While he was in the institution, he had a vision. And the vision was of Jimi Hendrix. And Hendrix came in and said, "You're going to play my guitar just like me, and I'm going to pass this along to you." And he came out of the mental institution, and he formed Mahogany Rush, and that's what he sounded like. There's another rumor that said Frank Mariano he had no skills with instruments, just was a non-musician. But he got into a car accident and was in a coma. And while he was in his coma, he was visited by the vision of Jimi Hendrix. And Hendrix came down from on high, and he came to him and he said, "Frank, I hereby give you the powers of my guitar playing." And when he woke from the coma, he picked up the guitar and he played like Hendrix. Wow, isn't that awesome? You know, by the early 70s, Hendrix, after he died, he became just this myth out there, and everybody wanted to be like Hendrix and imitate him and be in the next Hendrix. And that's what you find off this thing. The record label was 20th Century on there. So let me play you a snippet with this, and you tell me, who does it sound like?
Well, I was a man with a natural grace, and in that life I met a mighty good place. And I said some things that change you all along. Then all of a sudden I was dead and gone. Well, I hope you don't think it's too bold for me to say just what's on my mind, but I'll say it anyway.
Chris Hillman next. All right. Did that sound like Jimi Hendrix? Holy crap. And let's just play Jimi Hendrix sound. Okay. Chris Hillman. This came out in, or McGuinn and Hillman. McGuinn and Hillman. Roger McGuinn, Chris Hillman from the Byrds put this out in 1980. In 1979, these two got together and they had a hit, and it was called "Don't You Write Her Off." And you know, it was it did well, so they said, well, let's put an album together. So they did. 1980. Of course, that hit is not on this album, so they came up with the exciting title of McGuinn and Hillman. This was their only album. For those that like the Byrds, you will not go wrong. If Roger McGuinn is on it, it's going to have a Byrds sound. It just will. So Omaha Introvert Hannah, I would expect that you would have this album already. It has some Eagles sound to it, but obviously Eagles came with the line of a Byrds sound. It was a nice listen. I enjoyed it. Again, very, very Byrds-like. 1980, McGuinn and Hillman. Then we go into JoJo Gunn. Don't you like that name? JoJo Gunn, and it's off Asylum Records. JoJo Gunn was formed in 1971. It's a hard rock band, shall we say. And this was formed from two members from Spirit. We had Jay Ferguson and Mark Andes. Both were from Spirit. Well, they made this up. The name JoJo Gunn actually comes from a Chuck Berry song. In 1958, Chuck Berry had a song called JoJo Gunn. That's where they took it. Otherwise, I go, where would you come up with that? Well, that's where they came up with it. 1972, they made this album, and there actually was a hit on it. Run, Run, Run. Number 6 in the UK, 1972. Only number 57 in the US. Well, the album did okay. Let's open that up. There we go. How about that? You know, in the 70s, shirts weren't invented. Well, I guess, you know, the women had burned their bras in the 60s, and the men's burned their shirts in the 70s. You didn't wear a shirt. I think I had to when I was in school, but otherwise, if you're a rock star, why have a shirt? Let's show off the pecs, baby. Get more chicks that way. So they did this one, 72. They did 3 more albums, and they all tanked. They never did anything really after this. So 75, they broke up. Jay Ferguson went on, though, and had a successful career with 2 albums where he did Thunder Island and The Shakedown Cruise. Both albums I really, really like. That's where I got to know Jay Ferguson from Thunder Island. Absolutely love that because it's AM classic. album here. And we have Joe Walsh, and this is You Bought It, You Name It. This came out in 1983. It's a 6th studio album. Critics absolutely hated it, said, "You're an idiot, Joe. Why would you put out this piece of crap?" I don't mind it. I think it's okay, but then I like Joe Walsh. His previous album had been There Goes the Neighborhood, and that had been really popular and did quite well. This one obviously didn't do as well. He did have a hit called Space Age Whiz Kids, which was about the kids in the, arcades playing video games. Also, there was one, let's see if I can find it on here. Told You So. It's called Told You So. It's an outtake from the Eagles' The Long Run album. So there's Joe on the back. So the picture here, this is actually the aircraft carrier Yorktown from the Battle of Midway on fire. So there's Joe Walsh sitting on the bench, and you got the guy in the fire suit here, and he's reading a book called Aircraft Carriers. So that's rather humorous. And then, of course, Walsh is in the fire suit. So there we have it, Joe Walsh. That's what we got. We had needle drops this week. Of course, it had to be pre-recorded because I'm really still out in front of my record store because we're going to get the first pick. Cat is alive. I have not been bitten. I think this has been a very successful week. New subscribers this week, hey, thank you, cheers, I really appreciate that. Hope everyone enjoyed that room tour that I had. I had a lot of fun doing it. I know I missed a lot of you on the shout outs. I really apologize. I spent 8 hours typing, 9 hours. When you're in a hotel for 3 nights a week, well, you gotta do something, right? I just began typing. So I had fun doing it. We'll have a contest video later on this week. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week. And I am going to go now take my nap. Enjoy.